Hey friends, just want to bring you an update on where we are as a church, and just know anytime anything changes that we'll update you with communication, and you won't be able to miss it at all. And so, as you know, Governor Holcomb spoke on Friday, and we want to say thank you to he and to his staff who have a tremendously enormous job. I was watching him speak, and I just found myself getting emotional because I feel just a small part of the weight he has to feel for our entire state. So thank you to Governor Holcomb and to his staff. We want to say thanks to the CDC. Thanks. If you're an essential worker, we want to say thank you to all of the parents who became homeschool parents overnight. We want to say thank you, and to all the unsung heroes, because I know that everybody has been doing a tremendous amount of work in this whole deal. And so the big question is when are we going to get the church back together again? And I'll tell you, as a church, we cannot wait to get back together. The big question is when? Well, here's what the governor said in his press conference and all the documents that he and his staff have released. He said just a couple items concerning churches. One, he said that churches are free to meet as long as they maintain the CDC recommendations. He also said that he recommends that churches stay online and continue to broadcast online. So we are going to choose to wait a while longer until we gather together on a Sunday. Now, let me tell you why we're making that decision. That decision is guided by multiple factors, but primarily that decision is guided, number one, by prayer. And I can tell you that there have been a massive amount of prayer by our staff and our leaders and you, everybody. We're even in 50 days of prayer. Like, we're praying and we're asking God for wisdom, and we believe that he continues to give wisdom. It's a promise that comes out of James. The word says that if we lack wisdom, that we ask, and then he gives to all without finding fault. So we continue to ask for wisdom, and he continues to give it. And so our decisions are all guided around here, like every decision which happens around here is guided by prayer. Second, we have to lay our decisions against mission. And our mission is to help people take one step closer to Christ. And our mission has not changed. We've said that from the beginning. Just because we're not meeting collectively doesn't mean that our mission changes at all. So we lay this decision against our mission. We also lay this decision against our core values. And these are values that we established quite a while ago that help us to navigate in the good times and in the hard times. What is it that's important to us? And so I'm going to talk to you just about a couple core values that helped us to navigate this decision. One core value that we have is the core value of effectiveness. Effectiveness, that what we do, we want to see a good return. That is, if our mission is to help people take a step closer to Christ, we want to do whatever we can to be effective in helping people take a step closer to Christ. The concern is that if we open up too quickly, it could unnecessarily put people's lives at risk. And we want to be a blessing to our city. We want to be a blessing to the people that are in our region that call Maryland home. And that means that doing all that we can, not only to move people a step closer to Christ, but to keep people safe. And so we're going to love our neighbors by going the extra mile to slow this spread. Like, we go the extra mile to love, guys. It's what we do. Now, here's the crazy thing when we talk about effectiveness. Since we have been online, we've actually been more effective than ever. We've seen prayer nights where up to 5,000 people have somewhat engaged or at least viewed prayer. When's the last time you were at a prayer meeting that was that big, right? We've seen all of our groups go online. We've seen people join new online small groups. We've had weekly views in excess of 25,000. I mean, that's crazy. For the first time in our history, we're on a local NBC station, which has widened our reach. We're watching people become followers of Jesus through our online platform. So to say that we're not effective when we're gathered is wrong. And the church never closed. We just locked the doors of the building. That's all that happened. And isn't it crazy that the Lord would use a locked building to bring people to know who he is? That there's effectiveness that continues to happen when we are telling the story online and when we're interacting with each other online. So when we make the decision, we're making it on one of our core values of effectiveness. We also have another core value of excellence. And listen, when we open the doors, we want it to be as good as possible. And we realize that excellence is going to look different with the CDC regulations, but we just want it to be a great experience when we come back together. Now, what we want to see is the CDC relax those guidelines. There's tons of guidelines you may not even know about, like you can't sit, like you got to put rows between people and rows of the ends, and like it just changes the dynamics of everything that we would do. right now. But when we come back together, we just want it to be as good as possible. And what we know is that there are going to be people who join us for the first time, who joined us online, who said, man, I want to go and be a part of that physical gathering. And when we gather, we want it to be as good as possible. Is it going to be like it used to be? No, things are going to be different. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to use the term relaunch. We're going to relaunch our church. And I know there's tons of questions around all of this, like what about the events? So let me tell you, just in terms of students and families, we're going to let you know 30 days ahead of time if those events will continue. Okay, so 30 days ahead, you just watch out and we'll be able to tell you if those events are canceled, if they're going to continue to go on. Our small groups are going to continue to meet online, and our small group leaders will be in contact with you with some options as we get down the road, as we get closer to the church all getting together. I know, like, well, what's the date we're going to open up the church? What's the date? I don't know. I can tell you that we're moving in the right direction, and as we move, we're going to just go and have some different stages. Let me speak to you just about another core value that we have. And that's the core value of unity. Listen, I know everybody's opinion is all over the map on this. Like, we should have never closed the church to, man, we should wait until 2022 before we come back to church. Okay, and I don't expect everybody to agree, but we talk about unity around here. Okay, and we say, like, that doesn't mean that we're always in agreement, but we want to maintain unity. And part of unity is that we celebrate each other. And there are tons of heroes in this whole thing. Some of my heroes are the MCC staff. And you don't get to see them firsthand the way that I do, but this is a team of people who are dedicated beyond what I ever imagined. And I knew that they were excellent, but since this whole thing started, they've worked harder than ever. They have moved an entire organization, the largest church in the region. We're one of the fastest growing and largest churches actually in the US, and they've moved that to an online platform. And now they're working to how do we move that to do online and physical gathering. The physical gatherings. I've seen this team dig deeper into Jesus. We need to celebrate them. I've seen them work more hours. We need to celebrate them. I've seen them create new strategies. They've transitioned this entire organization online, and now we're going to transition it back. You say, well, what does this have to do with unity? I'm just asking, as your senior pastor, could you just love these guys? Could you love this team? Like, encourage them, pray for them, cheer them on. Because they are some of our heroes. And I'm so grateful for them. Listen, I'll tell you this finally. Guys, this is a move of God. It's not a surprise to God. Since the churches of the world have started to meet online, the gospel has been shared, I think, with more people than ever in history. Now, who would have thought that the greatest spiritual move in our day would come by locking the church doors? The Lord knew. He knew, and he's in control of all of this. So we're continuing to work on some creative ways to ramp back up into our relaunch. And I know that you want to be back together. Listen, nobody wants to be back together worse than I do. And when the day comes and we're all together in whatever the new normal and relaunch looks like, look out, baby. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And leading up to that, we may have maybe some watch parties with the few families that you would have in your home, or maybe some other creative ways, and we'll continue to roll that out and let you know. But listen, I love you, and I love being your pastor. And I believe that this is one of the greatest moves of God in the world. And I believe that Maryland is one of the greatest moves of God that I've ever seen. And I'm excited to be here. The church never closed, friends, just that the church building closed. And we're going to be back together, just not yet. And we'll let you know as we continue to roll out steps. And in the meantime, we stay connected. We may not be connected physically, but we're staying connected online on Sundays. We're staying connected Tuesday through our prayer meetings. We're staying connected through small groups. We're praying hard through our 50 days of prayer. We're loving our city by distributing food and doing thousands of thank yous. And I am confident that we're going to see thousands of people take a step closer to Christ. And on the other side of this, we're going to celebrate and say, I'm not sure I'd want to walk through that again, but if we get these results and the Lord is doing this for his kingdom, then we'll take it. So we love you. We're excited to see what the future holds. And we're excited to get back together when that's the time.